Good morning. And welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, Indiana. My name is Ruth Ogden Halstead. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I participate in the life of this church on the Right Relations team and as an OWL teacher. We are a religious community of people with diverse beliefs and shared values. Our diverse beliefs are expressed in our 6 sources, and our shared values are expressed in our 7 principles, both of which can be found at uua.org. Together we strive to grow spiritually, build community, and live our lives and our values in this world. Reverend Tom Bozeman is our full-time minister here at First Unitarian, and he will be in the pulpit this morning. The service will be recorded and will be available for future viewing on FaceTube, YouTube, and church website. Let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you are attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart. And if any of you are on Instagram or Snapchat, why not add that in too, right? I don't have those yet. So here are a few announcements. There is the annual meeting directly after this service at 12:15. I assume it's here in the sanctuary. Another announcement is Friday, July 30th, Faith in Action will be showing the movie The Abortion Talks. It's a documentary. The movie documents how, after shootings at 2 clinics in Massachusetts, leaders from opposing sides of the abortion debate meet together in secret talks to try to learn how to prevent future violence. Pizza and potluck will begin at 5:30 p.m. That's June 30th or July 30th, so it's next month. Is it June? You have July here. Oh, okay. June. Thank you. Friday, June 30th at 5:30. So the movie starts at 6:30, and that discussion will follow. What? Okay. That one's correct. I just read it wrong. I'm sorry. Let's do this one more time. Friday, June 30th, come at 5:30. The movie will start at 6, and there will be a discussion after. It sounds like it will be a good documentary. Okay, now, another announcement. On July 29th at 4 p.m., the Farrells, our Farrells, are hosting a bounce ball tournament dinner fundraiser for the church. We will provide dinner for $25 donation with drinks included. They don't say what kind of drinks, so come and find out. Good drinks, she said. So for $25, you get the dinner and the drinks. And if you would like to join the bounce ball tournament, bocce ball tournament with a teammate, it's $25 per person. The winning team will split the bocce ball money. Oh, that's cool. So you get some money too for participating and winning. If there's rain, if it's freaking hot, there is a makeup date, which will be the next day, July 30th. So this is July or June? Okay. July 29th, and if it's a rain day or freaking hot, it will be the next day, Sunday, July 30th. Okay. If you don't know how to play bocce ball, if you can roll a ball, you can play bocce ball. So sign-up sheet will be posted in the parish hall today. Did I get it right? Okay. Thank you for being patient with me, everyone. Another announcement. There will be a Corn Dogs basketball fundraiser for the baseball. There will be a Corn Dogs baseball fundraiser for the church on Friday, July 14th. Tickets are $20 payable to the church with no memo. Baseball fundraiser. Did I read that? Sign-up sheets are in the parish hall. So there's 2 things to sign up for, right? The bocce ball and then another fundraiser. Corn Dogs are a Northern League baseball team. Oh, okay. This is a baseball team. The game will be at 7 p.m. in Crown Point. Beer and concessions, including corn dogs, are available. Invite your friends and family for fun night out that also supports the church. Sign-ups need to be completed by 2 Sundays from now, June 25th. If I have completely messed this up and you have any questions, talk to Michelle. Is that fair? Okay. There's another Faith in Action announcement that our own Corey Hagelberg is doing a garden, Brothers Keepers Garden, and they just would like volunteers to come and help with it. It's every other Saturday from 10 to 12. So they had one yesterday, and the next one will be Saturday, June 24th. There were flyers handed out like this, so if you have any questions, talk to Pete. He was the one handing out the flyers. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. You're clapping for that. Oh, thank you. Please silence your devices now. Take a deep breath. And another deep breath. And join us in a spirit of reverence.
Please join me now in lighting the chalice. The words are printed in the laminated handouts in the pews. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, signing our requests for truth and meaning, in celebration of a life we share together.
Please open your hymnals to reading 440. This is a responsive reading. The opening words are by Philip Hewitt from The Fragmented World. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather together in search of wholeness. Yet we know that no branch is utterly severed from the tree of life that sustains us all. Surround us and the countless generations we would hold fast to all of good we inherit, even as we would leave behind us the outworn and the false. Let us labor in hope for the dawning of a new day, without hatred, violence, and injustice. Let us nurture the growth in our own lives of the love that is shown in the lives of the greatest men and women, who raise his lamps still illuminate our way. In this spirit we gather. In this spirit we pray.
Please rise our body, our spirit, to join in singing hymn 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Come thou fount of every blessing,
Thanks, everybody, for going with that. Our affirmation of faith.
Please join me in our affirmation of faith. Love is a doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome, everyone. Now is the time where we all greet our neighbors, and we are striving to create a worship space which is both spiritual and safe. However, we recognize that not everyone can attend in person. We extend a special welcome to everyone who is joining us virtually today, and thank you to our tech team for making the live streaming and recording possible. So please take a moment to wave to your neighbors by waving your hands and smiling a lot.
Please be seated. We have an opportunity during our worship services not just to gather together and hear somebody say some hopefully smart things from this microphone up here, but also to share our joys and sorrows, to lift up, to give voice to whatever it is that we are carrying in our hearts, in our minds, from maybe our own lives, from something we've heard on the news, from our community. There is so much that we bring into every space inside of us. And so I invite folks to share what is on your heart this morning. Either a joy or a sorrow. I'll come to you with the microphone and hold it up for you, and just share with us your name. In the silent sanctuary of our hearts, may we continue to weave this congregation into more beautiful patterns in the future. It's in the order of service.
Okay. One day, when I was 12 years old, my father announced that we needed a driveway along the side of our house. I remember thinking, oh, that's a good idea. There will be so much less lawn to mow. A few days later, an earth mover arrived and cut a very large rectangle into the lawn between my house and my neighbor's. The rectangle was wide enough for 2 cars to pass each other easily, and it ran about 100 feet up from the street. When the earth mover was done, a dump truck appeared and left a pile of sand in the middle of the rectangle that reached about half as high as our 3-story house. As soon as the truck left, I made my way to the top of the pile. My elderly neighbor next door, a man I truly loved for his kindness, his wit, and his modest wisdom, made his way over.
Well, I think your father's intention was to have the earth mover push the sand around before it left, but I guess we are going to have to do it.
Enthusiastically, I began lifting shovels full of sand and throwing them off the top of the mountain. The idea was to evenly distribute the sand within the giant rectangle. But before long, I had grown quite weary. I was hot and tired. I can't really see any progress. My respect for my neighbor began to fade. He has retrieved his lawn chair and lemonade to watch me work. After seeing me toil for 15 minutes, he couldn't stand it any longer.
Come down off of there. You'll never get the sand moved by starting at the top. The sand you move from there, you are going to have to move several more times. Start at the side of the hill. Estimate a spot on the hill equal to the height that you want the sand to end up at, and then stand on it. And the sand beneath your feet will never have to be moved.
I picked a spot about 10% of the way up the hill. Then, without having to lift the shovel higher than my waist, I dug into the hill, throwing the sand in equal measure to my right and to my left. Before long, I was standing in the center of a large circle more than 20 feet in diameter. The sand was all exactly at the right height, and the original hill was reduced by about 1/3. I continued to methodically push the sand in circular motions out to the edges of the circle, stepping forward as I did, and the circle continued to expand rapidly in size. Wow! I can't believe how easy that was. How did you know that?
I didn't. The trick
was to step back for a few minutes from what at first seemed to be an overwhelming task and think it through. Tasks are always a fraction of the effort if the plan is sound.
There ends the story.
I invite you to pick up your gray hymnals, 347. We will join in Rise in Body or Spirit. We will join in song. So I've talked in the past about my movie watching and how I used to watch lots of movies, and there's one movie that I never ended up seeing that I read about, that I kind of wanted to see for the experience of it, that was made by Andy Warhol. That was a 24-hour still footage of the Empire State Building. I liked the idea of sitting through that movie, of being able to say that I did, but I never have. Usually there's a lot of interesting things going on in movies to watch. You know, people are saying things, people are moving around, sometimes they punch one another. There's something exciting that's going on. Well, this past year at this congregation, I've been blessed to watch all of you, to observe. My primary focus this year has been to get to know you all, to develop relationships, to meet you, to know you, to invite you to know me. To be sure, I've been taking care of some other things as well, some of which are listed in my annual report to the congregation, but my main focus has been observing the pile of sand and the efforts to move the sand around. And whatever tiredness or excitement or weariness or delight or all of that together ends up coming about. and all the beautiful ways that people show up for each other and for the betterment of the world at large. We live in a fragmented world that lacks wholeness, in which we are separated from one another and divided within ourselves, in which we find ourselves in bondage to the ideas of our own day and the delusions of our own fancy. People are drifting. Sense of American identity that we've had for the past few decades has been shaken for many. Of what direction is this country going in? Public policy is being made around reproductive rights and LGBTQ issues and policing and on and on and on that we watch about on the news and sometimes feel a sense of horror and shock. There's climate change that we're experiencing, very nearby effects of smoke in the air, creating these apocalyptic vistas in the sky, just as happened in the Northwest over the past few years. There's an epidemic of loneliness that people are experiencing. Depression. There is a lot to face. For many, it is a hellish experience of the world right now. But in the face of all that lonely struggle, there is still the possibility of joining our voices together. I use the word our both in terms of our being this congregation, but also our in terms of the larger community of which we are a part. Joining our voices not in cacophony, but in harmony, in unison, maybe even giving some folks some solos here and there. It is hard to join successfully with other folks. The history of European colonization of North America is one in which people just kept moving to new land to do whatever they wanted. And so for hundreds of years, this society has been practicing going off and doing its own thing. And particularly within Unitarian Universalism, where we have no creed, it can be challenging to come together effectively, to join one voice with another voice and another voice, to harmonize with each other, or to join together in unison and hear that beautiful sound of one people sharing one voice. My first year in college, I went to the Evergreen State College in Washington, and it was a couple hours south of Seattle, and my roommates and I went up to Seattle for a trip. One of us was from Seattle, and so we stayed at his place, and I was loving being in the big city, and there were 4 of us, and every time we would come to a new intersection, I would race on ahead, and then I would get to the other side of the intersection, and I would turn around and realize that nobody else had raced with me, and they were all still there on the other side of the street. I hadn't yet picked up the skill, the ability to move in rhythm with other people, to feel the sense of when the crowd was moving this way or that, and choose to go along with it or to harmonize with it. I was so used to that individualistic, I'm just going to go over here, that I hadn't quite gotten how to mix that with the motion of other people. And just in a larger scale in our society, congregational life is one of those places where we can practice that skill, to relearn those habits of joining together with one another. And one of the key challenges in congregations is that it's this group of people that is usually always changing. In a family, there are sometimes births or deaths, but for the most part, there is a certain degree of reliable expectation of who is involved. There's these 5 people or these 10 or 30 people, but in a congregation, people are coming and going. I'm not sure who's going to be here which Sunday. There's new strangers that walk in and become a part of it all. Unlike with biological families in which people have a genetic bond, in a congregation, it's about what we practice together. It's about the conversation that we are having with one another. There are kind of 3 conversations that we have with one another in congregations. There are maintenance conversations, there are preference conversations, and there are mission conversations. They're all extremely important, but it's also important that they be well balanced. The maintenance conversation preserves who we were. It lifts up past performance and norms and rituals and rules. And it's important because it provides a sense of stability and reliability over time. But if we overemphasize it, it impedes, it gets in the way of new energy and new ideas and courage. The second kind of conversation is the preference conversation, which focuses on satisfying the people who are already here and the people who like to do things in particular ways and the people that we would like to be here. And it's important because we're humans and we like things, and it's important that others in our lives care about what we like. But when we overdo the preference conversation, we can easily slip into judgments about the right way or wrong way to go about things, and the conversation can devolve into searching for ways to keep everybody happy, to keep everybody as they already are, unchallenged and static. And since the primary task of a congregation is to challenge and shape people, sticking to current preferences means subverting that task. The third conversation is the mission conversation. And that one focuses on the purpose and possibility of the future. Who are we now, rather than who we were 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago? And what difference are we called to make? And who is our neighbor? The mission conversation is important because unlike the maintenance conversation, which is about preserving the past, and the preference conversation, which is about preserving the present, the mission conversation is about throwing our arms around the possibilities for the future. The problem that results from overemphasizing the mission conversation is that we can start to lose cohesion. We can start to lose critical mass. The maintenance and preference conversations are sort of like the bumpers. I don't know if you've ever played bowling, if you've ever gone bowling, when they have the bumpers there that keep you from going into the gutter. So the maintenance and preference conversations are the ones that keep us from going in the gutter. They keep us cohesive, keep us together. But the mission conversation is what actually helps us to roll the strike. When we weave these three together well, when we're mindful of the basic maintenance of our buildings and grounds and traditions and identity that we hold dear, keeping the beacon of the days that we remember burning bright and clear, when we're mindful of the preferences that each of us individually bring into our togetherness, helping us to let go of our fears that we're not seen or understood as we are, and when we move boldly forward into an unknown tomorrow with an inspiring vision of the future, so that the very way that we live our lives together calls others to join our fold, so that we can build a deeper justice in the world. When we weave those together, we can make such beauty in the world. In this first year that we've had together, in addition to getting oriented, I've been working with the leadership of the congregation to start making a plan. I've worked with the Committee on Shared Ministry to develop a broad strokes proposal for congregational growth, which was presented to the Board of Trustees. And we circulated a survey to the congregation and received feedback from about 30 congregants. And folks responded with thoughts about maintenance and preference and mission. And yesterday I gathered with the board to set a vision for this congregation, this congregation's ministry over this coming year. And this vision of ministry is intended to guide and align our work together. It has two parts. One, to foster relationships in the congregation that are centered around spiritual growth and inquiry and the operations of the church. And two, to root our desire for growth through celebration of Unitarian Universalism, both within the congregation and in diverse public spaces. Given all that I have seen of the congregation this year, I am very much looking forward to gathering with folks to realize that vision. This year, there was not a particular guiding vision that had been set for us, and still so many wonderful things happened. So many folks contributed their time and treasure and talent to the congregation. The financial pledges that form the bulk of our operating budget, taking part in running and contributing to fundraisers, creating beautiful music and worship services together. The production team that reliably shows up every Sunday to make it all work. The board of trustees leading governance of the congregation. The committee on shared ministry that's been exploring congregational growth. The personnel committee that helps this congregation to be an ethical and responsible employer, the group of folks preparing for our 150th anniversary celebrations, the Right Relations ministry team, which supports us in our relationships with each other, the membership ministry team, which supports folks' involvement in this congregation, Spirit Circle, which provides a space for folks to share their journeys with each other, Faith in Action, which puts our mission to work in the larger community of which we're a part, Religious Education, which supports both children and adults in faith development, the folks putting together in our whole lives comprehensive sexuality education program for this coming year. And I also want to specifically name Tracy Farrell, whose leadership of the building and grounds provides such a beautiful place to put their hands actually to work, in the dirt sometimes, with tools, with shovels sometimes, to make this place thrive in unique and beautiful ways. And as well, I want to thank everyone who takes part in rummage sales or potlucks or hospitality or the congregational survey or the book group or sistering or any of the other activities that go on here. There are so many beautiful ways that folks bring this congregation to life. And so I'd like you all to give yourselves a round of applause for all of that. And of course, we still feel the beautiful contributions of those who have died this year and in years past. As our hearts break at their loss, we still carry their memory by continuing to fuel the life of this congregation. And guided by this two-part vision of ministry that the board has set for this coming year, we shall create an even more beautiful experience together, continuing to infuse this congregation with our love and care, building that even more beautiful future together. In Unitarian Universalist congregations, the day of the annual congregational meeting is a particularly special one. It is the day that a congregation joins together to put things in place for the coming year on its self-guided trajectory, to allocate the funding, to fill key leadership positions. It is when we put into practice the workings of our free faith. It is the linkage between this current congregational year, which ends in 19 days, and the congregational year to come, which begins on the 1st of July. So this morning, I would like you to join voices with one another. The sound of one voice can be beautiful. That one spirit coming through, shining through into the world. The sound of choices that you make, desires, preferences that you have. I invite you to join that voice with others. And particularly, usually the homework that I give is for the coming week. For this one, it's for the next couple hours. To practice during the annual meeting, harmonizing with whatever it is that's going on. Hearing the melody, finding yourself moving in concert with it. And also to observe, as I've been observing over this past year. What do you notice about the annual congregational meeting? This will be my first. I have not yet experienced an annual congregational meeting in this church. They are different from every UU church. Everyone does it their own way. So I don't even know what to expect. Could be amazing. Could be an epiphany dawns. It could be a beautiful experience. But whatever the experience is, I invite you to observe it as I've been observing the congregation over this past year. And notice, however, it might be a little bit more beautiful, a little bit more reflective of what this congregation could be. So that as we pursue this vision of ministry for the coming year, as we tune ourselves together, we can tune every little piece of what we do together even the business meeting, to have it be this gathering of spiritual inquiry and growth. May we gather our spirits and harvest whatever power there is there, so that our separate fires will kindle one flame. May our hearts be tuned. May we be faithful. May our eyes be lifted to what may come. May we see the promise of this day. May we bind ourselves together in union, that our hands may tell of our love. May we continue to hone our gifts together, to bring them out into the world, giving the people something of our vision, uncovering our light, using it to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of everyone, giving them not hell, but hope and courage and kindness and everlasting love. And may we keep on moving forward together. And may that ever be so. Amen. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing song. Oh, yes, thank you. Offering. That's what I get for changing up my script. Thank you for being good observers.
Can't forget this part.
No.
Now is the time in our service for our offering. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. We make 2 offerings. The basket is for the general operating expenses of the church. The cup offering goes to the Multicultural Alliance of Valpo University, which services minority and non-traditional student organizations. Looks like I've already got 4 volunteers here. Presence, your service, and your gifts, we are truly grateful.
And now, please rise in body or spirit. 1028 in our teal hymnals, and the words will also be on the screen.
Into faith set free from fear. When the It's a great pleasure to be able to share service in person with you all today and end with one of my favorite hymns and one of my favorite readings. Is number 704 is actually by Reverend John Murray, who is it?
Yes.
704?
Yes. It's misattributed.
Misattributed. Good to know. Good to know. Misattributed. And you have the right attribution. Go out into the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and everlasting love of God.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Sigamos adelante. Siempre adelante, siempre adelante, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna keep on loving boldly, keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly, never turning back, never turning back. Amaremos con pasión, siempre con pasión, siempre con pasión. Sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna reach across our border, reach across our border, reach across our border. love you.
I invite you to extinguish the chalice together.
Sure. Okay. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of commitment, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you, everybody. And I hear we have an annual meeting coming up.